It's July 12th, 2013, at about 10:30, we'll say. We're sitting with Dorothy Petrini. Did I say that correctly? Let's go with Dottie. All right, so to start, if you don't mind just telling us about where you were born and the early parts of your life.
Okay. I was born April 4th, 1930.
Okay.
Down in a little town called Spokane, Missouri, about 30 miles from Branson.
Okay.
I had 3 brothers and 2 cousins, male cousins. And I was raised with them, and I'm quite the tomboy. That's where I got all my outdoor experience, I suppose.
Okay.
But at the age of 6, my family, in the Depression, we moved to El Monte, California.
Okay.
And we lived there for 3 years.
Okay.
My father hand-milked cows 8 hours a day on a dairy in El Monte, and that's how he supported his family. And then in '39 we moved back to Missouri again, and lived there for 2 years until World War II, and then we moved to San Francisco, and my dad went to work in the shipyards.
Right.
And basically I was pretty much raised in San Francisco and got my education there.
Okay.
And I moved back to Missouri for a couple more years and graduated from high school in Spokane at the age of 16.
Oh, wow.
My mom and my folks moved back to San Francisco because my mother could not stand to live in the hills and hollers and raise her children down in there. She had seen a better way of life in San Francisco. So we moved back to San Francisco. But my dad was only there about 3 or 4 months and said that he couldn't take it. So they split up. And my mother raised us in San Francisco, and basically I was raised there until I was 20 years old.
Okay.
And I got married.
Okay.
And moved to Long Beach, California for 6 years.
Great.
And my husband and I had, we have a daughter. And we opened a bar called Jobo's at 3636 East Broadway.
3636 East Broadway. Go ahead, Kathleen.
I was right off that street.
And
what was it called?
Jobo's, J-O-B-O. Jobo's Restaurant.
Jobo's Restaurant. Okay.
And we were there for, I'm trying to think, 1956.
Okay.
We moved to Phoenix, Arizona. We sold the bar there and moved to Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
And we had a place there called 20 Grand, a bar.
Okay.
On 15th and Grand Avenue. And we were there for 3 years. And then we heard about Signal Hill. There was a lady and her husband that lived here, Opal and Claude Wilhelm, that lived here in Craig. And they used to visit in the wintertime down there, and they were telling my husband, Joe, about this place being vacant up here in Craig, Signal Hill. So my husband came up and looked at it. And our daughter was a horse person. She loved horses and the outdoors, and we wanted her to, live in the country and raise her there.
Right.
And the biggest shock for her was that she'd been in parochial schools all of her life, and when she came here to the Wild West, she was very surprised at all that she learned and saw.
Mhm.
But she adjusted very well, and so did we. But my first thought when I came to Craig, I came here in November. My husband had bought the place in '59,
Okay.
but I moved here in '61,
Mhm.
and the first thing I saw in November was all this snow.
Mhm.
I had never seen so much snow in my life, and I didn't see ground until the next May.
Oh my goodness.
It was a very deep, cold winter,
Uh-huh.
and I thought if I ever got out of here, I would never come back until I could see ground. I said I wanted to see ground again.
Uh-huh.
So my daughter and I we rode a bus to Salt Lake City
Oh, right.
and caught a plane and flew to San Francisco.
Mhm.
We didn't have an airport. The only thing we had here was the little airport over here by the golf course.
Mhm.
But I learned to love the mountains. I love them. I love San Francisco, and I like to visit there, go to the theater, and the ballet and the operas. My mother introduced us to all of that,
Mhm.
and we still do that. My daughter and I, and we still do that from time to time. And if I feel like it, I fly to New York and do the Broadway theater for a week.
Mhm.
But that was from my mom. I
Right.
give her great credits for all that she has given to us.
Right.
And she raised us 3 children,
Mhm.
my 2 brothers and I. My one older brother went with my dad, went with our father.
Mhm.
But that was my beginning,
Mhm.
and I love Signal Hill. I love to fish and hunt, and I was raised with all boys, and that's
Right.
all I know is
Uh-huh.
fishing and hunting,
Mhm.
and I do that up until last year.
Oh, okay.
Went hunting with my friend
Where would you go?
over there north of Maybelle,
Okay.
and my friend, she does the driving and I do the shooting. And then we both field dress it,
Uh-huh.
load it,
Right.
and I just like to hunt and fish.
Right.
I don't care. I like the meat, but I don't care that I won't fix it for myself.
Right.
I just give it to anybody else that wants it.
Mhm.
And but back to Signal Hill.
What was the intrigue? Why was your husband drawn to it?
Excuse me?
Why was your husband drawn to it? Why did he want Signal?
Well, he was quite the entrepreneur. He could always seem. He was a very good man. He could make a lot of money. He
Mhm.
knew how to make money and make. He was what do I want to say? A good PR man,
Mhm.
and he was very likable. He was extremely sharp when it come to running a bar and business, and he was a great people person.
Mhm.
And I think that was probably part of it. He just liked to make money,
Right.
you know, and then we ran it for 20 years or so, from 59 until 78 or 79 or somewhere along in there. I don't remember.
Mhm.
But at that time, we got a divorce
Okay.
after 27 years.
Oh, okay.
And from there, I had gone to beauty school in Phoenix,
Mhm.
to one of the first trade schools they ever had
Mhm.
in this country, I guess, Phoenix Union High School, and I graduated from there with a cosmetology license.
Mhm.
And when I moved up here, my instructor down there in Phoenix had met the president of the Lamar Junior College. in Colorado here. And they were going to start a cosmetology school. And my professor and instructor down there suggested they get in touch with me. And maybe I would get my teaching license. So I got a teaching license. And I always had that. But after my husband and I divorced, I went back to Denver. And I taught with the Aurora Tech School down there for 13 years. And then when I retired at the age of 60, I wanted to come back to the hills. I always came back up here all the time. And but the hills call me home.
Right.
And I love the mountains and the freedom.
Right.
Fresh air.
And you've been here ever since. Okay. Wow.
So that's kind of where I went with my life, and I've traveled all over the world.
Where have you been?
I should have brought it.
Yeah.
When Ports of Call, it was a private club out of Denver, and we had our own planes, and we would fly all over the world. And I started with them, and I've been to the islands in the Caribbean. We flew to Mexico City for New Year's in a week. We were one of the first planes to fly into Cuba.
Oh, wow.
And they let us. I've been to Huatuco when they first opened. When we landed in Huatuco, they just had a little strip, a runway, and they kept the wings or motor going, and they shut one side down, and they told us to hurry and disembark. So we did, and then they took off. They never shut because there was no electricity out there.
Oh, right.
For power for the plane or whatever. I don't know a lot about planes and motors and stuff. And so then when we got ready to come back a week later, the plane would come in and fly over, and then we would go out to the runway and be ready. And no messing around and no fussing and what have you. And we would board up and fly off again. And then I've been to Cancun and Huatuco, Loreto, the Baja.
Right.
We just flew all over. Then we took mystery trips. We didn't know where we were going, but they'd tell you what to wear 24 hours before you left. But we flew all over in Hawaii, and then I was with that club, and we flew for about 15 years, I guess. And then after I was in Denver, I started traveling. I went to Africa. I went to Africa for a month and went all through the bush and everything. I didn't hunt. I was just touring. And I went all over South Africa.
Wow.
And we were in little planes that we were just, two passengers and luggage. And we were only allowed 22 pounds. That's the weight of your suitcase and your clothing. You were like, pants. And you unzip them.
Oh, right.
Wear the shorts in the daytime and the long legs at night.
Right.
And we just hopped all over Africa.
Wow.
In the south. And it was very beautiful. Very beautiful. That was one of the nicest trips I ever remember. And then I've been to Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and that was a 21-day trip. I've been to Hawaii 4 times, all over. I've taken the ship all the way around to all the islands with my mom and my daughter. I travel a lot with them.
Okay.
And then I've hopped from island to island for 4 days at a time.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I went to Italy
Mhm.
with the CNCC here,
Mhm.
and I loved Rome and Florence. It was so beautiful, so much to see,
Mhm.
that I liked it so well that I went back the following year for a month with a friend.
Okay.
That she was originally, her family, parents came from there. So we toured all of Italy,
Mhm.
and that was awesome.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
Cafe, I just got back from Italy.
Did you?
Yeah.
Isn't it
Florence
nice?
was my favorite.
Where? Florence? Me
Yeah.
too. I'd love to.
Beautiful.
I'd love to have a villa. Rent a
Oh, yeah.
villa and spend time there.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Right.
And the food is awesome. You go out for dinner early, and you don't get home till 1 in the morning because they keep bringing you wine.
Wow.
Or a little treat. Try this. They just keep bringing food.
Right.
And so hospitable.
Right.
And then my friend called me about 4 years ago. When did they have the last Olympics in Beijing?
In London?
Beijing, China.
Oh, in Beijing. That was 2008.
Okay, in 2008, I went with my friend, Mrs. Wyman,
Mhm.
and we went over there. They took their daughter, she and her friend, they each one have a daughter,
Mhm.
and they adopted 2 children, babies from there.
Uh-huh.
And they wanted to take them back to their homeland
Mhm.
and let them, get some history and some of their culture.
Right.
So we went back over there for about 3 weeks.
In China.
In China, Shanghai, and all over
Wow.
Beijing,
Mhm.
and that was nice.
That's great.
Don't ask me what I did. I just like to go, And we cruised the Yangtze River.
Mhm.
Mhm. We did that, and then we got off, I don't know which, Shanghai or someplace, and then we started flying
Right.
different places.
That's awesome. We're both military brats.
Are you?
We've traveled.
Well, you know what I'm.
Yeah, it's great.
You got
It's
an
great.
idea about this hopping around.
These
You
are
just
good
go,
stories.
go, go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I think, by Africa, between Africa and Alaska,
Mhm.
I saw where you could bid on a musher and ride and sponsor
Really?
a musher.
Uh-huh.
So I inquired, and I flew in '99
Mhm.
to Anchorage,
Mhm.
and I sponsored. I bid on the man that has the Meeker Hotel,
Okay.
Jim. I can't think. I bid on him, and I got to ride with him
Mhm.
for the first 11 miles.
Wow.
You get the 11 miles, and they go to the little town of where Sarah Palin was from,
Oh, okay.
and I think that's where they started the original, the official. But
The Iditarod?
mhm.
Wow.
So I rode that far
Uh-huh.
with them, and I did that.
That's amazing.
It was the most awesome. It was so beautiful and peaceful, and
Right.
quiet, silent. All you could hear was just the skis,
Mhm.
the slushing, and it was beautiful, beautiful. And I've had 2 cruises up there with my daughter.
Up to Alaska.
And on cruises.
Right.
I've taken the Amtrak from Vancouver across to Canada.
Wow. What was that like?
Beautiful.
Right.
And expensive.
I bet.
I was disappointed. It was beautiful, and it makes me think of Colorado a lot, the
Mhm.
mountains of Colorado and the river. It was really awesome to see the salmon along the river. You could see way down there. You could see the salmon in the water. It was
Right.
so clear and orange they were. But we stayed at beautiful, we had choices of hotels.
Mhm.
You didn't stay on the trains.
Oh.
You ride the train in the daytime and get off in
Mhm.
the afternoon or evening, whenever, and do a little touring in the town and then check into a hotel. And that is an added expense of the hotel and the food.
Right.
That was a little surprising.
Right.
But it was worth learning,
Right.
And I've done the Mississippi Queen with my daughter on her 50th birthday. I surprised her and took her there.
Okay.
And I've been through the Panama Canal twice.
Wow. That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
You went all the way through the canal?
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's really
All the
neat.
way through and up to San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
One time, the first time, and then the next time, we leave from New Orleans,
Mm.
and with my daughter, I left New Orleans and went all the way to San Francisco with my son-in-law and my daughter.
Okay.
And then the next time I went was about 4 or 5 years ago, I don't remember, with Lou and Paul, the Wyman.
Mhm.
You know who they are, with the museum right here?
I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, that big museum.
Yeah.
Lou wanted to see, her husband wanted to see, and another young man that was from here years ago.
Mhm.
They wanted to see the new addition to the canal.
Right.
They're making it wider.
Mhm.
So the men wanted to see, because they liked the bulldozers and the dirt and the stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so they wanted to see that, so they took all the two couples took them, and they said, "You go with us, Dottie,
Mhm.
and have fun." So us girls would drink the wine at night, and the guys would go
Right.
gamble. But anyway, it was a fun trip,
Mhm.
and it's a beautiful thing,
Mhm.
beautiful. And then I ride the mules in the Grand Canyon every year for 13 years now.
Wow.
I go from up at we go down and stay overnight
Mhm.
at the Phantom Ranch.
Mm.
And I didn't do it last year because I had back surgery,
Okay.
and it was very disappointing. I wanted to go, but I'm still going to go one of these days,
Yeah.
as soon as they get me healed up.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Wyman and I do that too, and anybody else that we can con into going.
Mhm.
It's girls' week out. But it is an awesome, awesome trip.
Yeah, I bet.
It truly, truly is so awesome to just go down with history, and to the very bottom, and to touch the wall or the rocks as you go along, the edge.
Mhm.
It's hard to explain
Mhm.
the feeling you have. And then since about 67, 68, Mrs. Wyman and I, Paula and I, have ridden the Yampa and the Green of the Colorado for 13 years.
Wow.
Or 15. We traveled that for 15 years every summer.
Mhm.
We would do a trip
Mhm.
on that, and we loved it so much. It's so beautiful.
Right.
If you've never done it, it's a trip
Okay.
to go back in there, and it's so peaceful, it's so heavenly, and just the walls and the water and the sea, the silence.
Right.
You don't want to get off. You
Right.
get very depressed that last day. I don't want to leave.
Wow.
So we felt that way so many times. We would ride the Yampa one year, and then we would catch the Green the next. and we couldn't make up our mind which one we liked. So one year we rode them back to back. We got off of one, came in, changed clothes, stayed overnight, and went back out on the other one. And that still wasn't enough. So the following year we decided to float the Grand Canyon for 8 days.
Wow.
So we did that. And that's when I saw the Phantom Ranch. And I said, I want to come stay all night down there. But the food is absolutely phenomenal down there. Everything that goes in is by mule.
Oh, okay.
Packed. It's packed in by mule. And everything is packed back out by mule.
Wow. That's interesting.
It is truly awesome. And it's very interesting, very informative. They always have a couple of speakers from the Park Service down there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be sorry. You won't be sorry you took it. And I guess, and I've spent about 5 years at Puerto Vallarta. My daughter and son-in-law used to go down there and rent a villa. Way down where the river comes in. I cannot think of the name of the place. It's where they made The Night of the Iguana with Elizabeth Taylor and Burton.
Oh.
And our villa was up here on the high mountain, and we could look down and see it.
Wow.
It's so beautiful. But we used to go there. But I want to go again. I've got all the information, but
right.
I don't want to. I'm getting too old to travel alone.
Right.
And it's not safe anymore. It may be safe, I don't know, but I don't want to try it.
Right.
And so, I guess. What else do you want to know?
Well, what I want to, that's good. In being all these places and being literally all over the world, what made you always want to come back to Craig, or to Maybell, to this area? The mountains. That was the big
mountains
draw.
and the river and the peace and the serenity. You know, these places are all beautiful, but this is home.
Right.
And I still have a home in San Francisco.
Right.
You know. My mother left me a beautiful, beautiful home. But I have no reason to stay there.
Right.
I have no family.
Right.
I do and I don't. I have a brother that lives there in Tiburon, Sausalito. But it's not for me.
Right.
My daughter and I go back and we'll go and stay downtown at the hotel and we play tourists. You know?
Right.
I like to go see it and visit and reminisce and go through the park and that sort of thing, and the beach and the ocean, but it's not home. This is home.
Right.
This is home. And when I came back after I retired, I didn't want to come to Craig.
Oh.
When I moved to Craig, it was like 2,500 people.
Right.
Signal Hill was a mile out of town.
Oh.
City limits.
Wow.
City limits was right up there by Ranny, where the bowling alley is.
Right.
Right up in there.
Okay.
That was the city limit.
Wow. And what were the people like?
Oh, the people were awesome.
Okay.
There was wonderful people. They were very friendly, and they're family. They're like all family. And the people that came to Signal Hill were like all family. It was we had a nice restaurant that was family oriented.
Okay.
And it wasn't. It was a nice family place for family to come, and there was no rowdiness or anything like that. And we would have music on Friday and Saturday night, live music.
Okay.
And the people would just dance and dance, and that was so entertaining to watch the people dance. I never got to dance. And my husband tended bar, and I cooked.
Oh, okay.
And then when I closed the kitchen at 10 o'clock, I went out and opened the other end of the bar. We had 2 bars there. I'd open it and help him till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
But it was awesome, and the people were beautiful here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of sad because all the old timers are fading away.
Right.
Fading away.
Right.
But during all this time, when I came back, and the most interesting thing when I came back, when I retired from the Aurora Public Schools, and it's called the Pickens Tech University now.
Mm.
I didn't want to come back to Craig. It was too many people.
Oh.
I didn't want to live next door. I want my freedom. I want my space. So I was looking for a place to live on the river, somewhere between here and Browns Park.
Okay.
I just wanted a place on the river or south of Craig here if I could find something.
Mm.
And I stopped at Maybelle at the store there, and there was a man sitting there. And I hadn't seen him for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Hello, Dottie, how are you?" And I looked, and it was Sonny, Sonny Crosser.
Mm-hmm.
And we became reacquainted, friends. I knew him from a customer. But I always knew he was a good man. And the nicest part about it, Kathleen?
Kathleen.
Kathleen?
Kathleen. Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Uh-huh.
He'd never been married. And he didn't have kids that he admitted to.
Uh-huh.
And we became friends for about a year or two, and then we got married.
Oh.
And it was the best 12 years of my life.
Wow.
I saved them best for last.
Right.
And he was a wonderful man, and I had a wonderful life.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good life with my first husband, too, but there were other issues. And but Sonny came along, and that's my story. We had an awesome life, awesome 10 years. And then he had a heart attack. And they knew him here very well. But
how did Maybelle compare to Craig?
oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's freedom. It's
Oh.
freedom.
Uh-huh.
Maybelle has a little store and a gas station. And then they have a restaurant, a library, and a post office. And that's it.
Wow.
That's the business. And a beautiful community center, and the people we're all family down there, family. And there's about 92 people live there in that town.
Wow.
And it's got a big city, I call it city, it's not even a city, but it's got a great big block park. Beautiful park. But I don't live there. I live 5 miles downriver.
Okay.
And I have 25 acres out there on the river, and I've got all my freedom and space and wildlife, fresh air. And I don't have neighbors. I love neighbors and I love people, but I don't want nobody breathing down my neck.
Right.
You know? And I can do what I want to do.
Right.
When I want to do it.
Right.
And I hope I can stay independent for a long time yet. I don't know. But after my husband died, he did a lot of work. Sonny, he helped a lot here at the museum, and they used him for reference and dates and things.
Right.
Was he originally from Craig? Or was he originally from Craig? Or
He was from Craig. He lived here all of his life. You know, all the mountains. He had been originally a cowboy for years, and then he finally thought that he needed some benefits. And he worked for the county, the Road and Bridge Department, for 22 years, I believe. I don't know for sure. And, but he'd been here all his life, and he knew everybody and all their friends and who were who. And he lived in all these little towns that are no longer here.
Right.
And he rode horses, rode horseback for all the people. He was a foreman on a ranch out here at one time. It was the biggest ranch in Moffat County. It was I'll think about it. Priest Brothers owned it.
Priest Brothers?
I can't think. But he was a good man.
Mm-hmm.
And we had retired, bought us a place in Wickenburg, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had a cabin at Hans Peak for 25 years. And so we went to the mountains a lot.
Mm.
We went to Arizona in the wintertime and got
Right.
to spend 2 years there.
Wow.
And we went to bed one night and he had a heart attack. And I'm grateful for that because he didn't suffer.
Right.
And but I miss him. I miss him.
Yeah.
But I had a good life. I've had a good life. I've had an interesting, good life.
That's good.
And the people in Maybelle are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We have our bickering, don't get me wrong. We bicker a little bit.
Mm.
But when someone's in trouble or need, they're there. They are there. And Craig used to be that way years and years ago, but things get too big.
Right.
And I like to be more
Right. Free.
free.
How have you seen Craig change
How has Craig changed?
since you first came?
Oh, mercy. When I came here, they were thinking of building the power plant
Mm.
in, that was the biggest plant
Okay.
in Hayden.
Oh.
I saw the airport enlarge a little bit. I saw the golf course come into view.
Mhm.
That was a good golf course.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
Yeah.
I used to go out there early in the morning and play 2 balls and do a round
Uh-huh.
before I came back and started getting prepared and prepping for the restaurant at night.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Hayden Airport come in.
Mm-hmm.
There's been lots of changes. And motels, there was no motels out there.
Right.
Beyond that, Kmart and Walmart has come in, of course, much later. The new high school.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter went to middle school right here on Bree Street,
Right.
where the park is,
Yep.
and graduated from the high school,
Okay.
or the middle school up on Yampa.
Yeah, now it's the middle school.
Middle school?
Yeah.
And the college has come in.
Mm-hmm.
I remember how they were talking about that back in the 70s.
Oh, is that
And the people didn't want it.
Uh-huh.
Taxes.
And when did it eventually come?
The late 70s, they were doing little extension courses, little extensions, and I would go down to Yampa they had a little office there,
Right.
and I took a couple of classes there. And I kept building on my credits.
Mm.
And then after I went to Aurora, I had a Type C teaching certificate.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept going taking different classes. And when I went, had more availability even to go there in Aurora. They had little extension classes right there about 5 blocks from where I went to work at the Aurora Public Schools.
Right.
And I decided to go back to college, and I started taking college courses at night. I worked the evening shift from 4 till 9 o'clock at night at the school teaching. You have to kind of work your way through old retirees and work your way up before you got to come in and get on the contract. I was there 7 years before they put me on contract.
Oh, wow.
But I worked nights for 7 years. I went back to college, working at night, and then when I did get on days, I would go to college at night. And I got my bachelor's degree in 5 years.
Wow.
I went back to school. And I was working on part of my master's when I retired. But I feel very proud of myself for going back to school. At the age of 60, I graduated from CSU on the dean's list.
That's excellent. Yeah.
So, you know, who says you can't do it?
Right.
You can do anything you want if you so desire, and if you put your efforts into it.
Right.
And thank God that I was taking credits for $29 a credit.
Wow.
Try that on for size now.
Yeah. We pay
100 and something.
more than that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Books are unreal.
Yeah.
I would go buy my used books or find somebody that was, you know, was going at night, and they said they were going to be through with algebra or whatever. And I said, "What are you going to do with your book?" Well, I said, "If you're going to sell it, I'll buy it." You know, and they didn't have to worry about selling it. But that's how I got through school.
Yeah.
And basically, I think that's about all I've done in my life.
That's a lot. That's quite a bit.
I have.
Yeah.
I really have done, and I've accomplished a lot, and I enjoy my life.
Good.
And there's a couple other things too, but I can't remember. But
Okay.
I like to ride horses. I still ride horses whenever I get a chance.
Right. Do you own any horses?
No. I used to. I used to have 3 horses. When I moved to Aurora, I sold them. But I don't know what I was going to say now, but I've accomplished that too.
Which is this one?
Take care of myself.
Oh. I see.
And I've also gone buffalo hunting. And I'm a good...
Where did you go for that? For buffalo hunting?
But I've accomplished many things.
Yeah.
Many things.
Definitely.
And I love my animals. And but I still like to hunt.
Right.
You know, the big game. I've got some beautiful trophies of elk. And I used to fly out all the time when we were on ports of call. We used to fly to Astoria, Oregon, at the mouth of the Columbia. and we would salmon fish, unreal.
Uh-huh.
But we would take a trip every year in the summer,
Right.
and they were allowed. The Indians had the rights to the fishing up there,
Oh, okay.
and you were, if there were any left over, you could take a few for the natives got the fish first.
Right.
And then we would go fishing. And sometimes we would make a reservation, put our money down, but they'd send it back because they had already caught too many fish. And they weigh all of them. They weigh them by the pound that comes in with
Okay.
each fishing boat that come in. I think I've done about everything I wanted to do. I wanted to parasail, but I never got to with my son-in-law down in Mexico. The one year we went, they didn't have them down there. They didn't have them out yet. So, but I think I've done about everything.
That's good. Thank you for sharing that. That was really interesting.